please. Well, first of all, thank you very much indeed for your attendance here. We are so delighted today to welcome Dr. Christopher Miller. He's an American poet, essayist, journalist, translator. Currently, he serves as director of the International Writing Program at the University of Iowa, United States. He led the initiative that resulted in the selection of Iowa City as UNESCO City of Literature as part of the Creative Writing Network. And in 2011, he was appointed as the U.S. National Commission for UNESCO. He did his undergraduate work at Middleton College and his graduate degree at the University of Washington. Indeed, it's such a great opportunity to welcome him here today to talk, give some kind of ideas about creative writing, such an interesting topic to be investigated. It's worth mentioning that this event is actually supported by the US Embassy and also implemented by IREX. So we are so much delighted to have him here, and we welcome him here at the University of Kufa, and leave the stage for him to talk about creative writing. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum. I am really thrilled to see so many people here today. Can you hear me? No words? Okay. In America, when we give lectures, we take questions, so feel free to begin formulating any questions you might have, all right? So, as your professor said, I am a poet and a writer, and I have the good luck to direct the International Writing Program at the University of Iowa. We bring distinguished writers from around the world to Iowa City for 3 months every fall, and they come to write and give readings and participate in the life of our UNESCO City of Literature. Today I'm here to talk to you about creative writing, about the teaching of creative writing, and I'm thrilled to be with people who are going to go on to become teachers of English at the primary level, at the secondary level, because for 10 years, for 10 summers, I had the good luck to teach people just like you, to teach teachers how to teach creative writing. Why would we do this? Well, our idea was that if we gave teachers the tools to teach creative writing, they would find teaching reading would be easier. They would find that engaging with their students would take place on a different level, and they themselves would have more fun. Okay? So how did we do this? This summer course was called The Experience of Writing. And what we did every morning, we had writing workshops. And in those workshops, the students, that is the teachers, would write something for the class, and then as a class, we would go over it and see how they had done what they had done. And then we also gave the teachers exercises in how to teach creative writing. Let me give you an example. If you were to give yourself this assignment, to write down the words, I remember. I remember. Okay? So, how about right now we take 5 minutes. I want you to write, I remember, and then tell me something that you remember, and I want you to remember that as vividly as you can. So I'll give you an example, like for me right now. I remember visiting a farm outside of Najaf on an overcast afternoon with a delegation of people from around the world who were interested in flowers. That's because I took part last week in the Baghdad International Flower Festival, right? So you see how I've tried to make that come to life, that place? So what I want you to do in the next 5 minutes is to write 5 sentences just like that. I remember, and then tell me something that you remember from earlier in your life, and describe that as vividly as you can. But not just one thing you remember, 5 separate memories, okay? I remember, I remember, I remember, I remember, okay? Can we do that the next few minutes? See, if you want to be writers, you've got to start writing. And if you don't have any paper, use your phone. Okay? And I want each of these memories to be as detailed as they can be. All right? If I were to say more about that farm I visited, I would say I visited a farm that was 5,000 hectares, and it sat atop a lake of water, which made it easy to irrigate the palms they were going to grow. You see how I'm starting to make that come to life, that place? Okay, so give me a memory. Give me 5 memories. I remember, I remember, I remember. And this is the kind of exercise you will give to your students if you like. If you find that you run out of things to remember, invent a memory. Or remember something that happened to somebody else. That can be part of a writing exercise as well. I remember when my friend called me in the middle of the night, not knowing that I was in Korea. And I tried to say to him, I'm trying to sleep. See, what was my friend thinking? I'm trying to get your imagination to go in different directions. Okay, so finish the sentence you're writing now. Make that the last sentence. Last sentence. Allie, do you have a mic? Allie, do you have a mic? Do you have a mic? Oh, okay. Much better. Maybe, yes. Okay. So, you don't know anything about me. I just arrived here a few minutes ago, and already I'm having you write. Why do you think I'm doing that? Any ideas? If we're writers, if we're teachers, we have to be prepared to write at any moment. We never know when we will think, oh, I need to write that down. As I was driving down here from Baghdad this morning, we left very early, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I was really tired, and I had not had breakfast yet, and I really wanted to sleep, but I couldn't sleep, because I found the landscape to be so interesting. And so what did I do? I was looking out the window, and I thought, I'm going to start writing down the things that I see, because at some point,
I remember seeing the plane pass.
okay, you have to keep the mic closer to you, or we can't hear you.
Yeah, I remember seeing a plane pass through a straight line, which is between two clouds. One was just like a mountain down to milk, and another as the big flower spreading into pieces. I remember when I was young and while the rain was falling down and the roads were muddy.
Fabulous. Can you read that again and read it just a little bit slower? When I was young, I listened to a lot of loud music, so my hearing isn't great. Okay? Yeah, read it again.
I remember seeing a plane pass through a straight line, which is between two clouds. One was just like a mountain going to melt, and another as a big flower spreading in two pieces. I remember when I was young and my father put me on his shoulder while the rain was falling down and the roads were muddy.
See, I have nothing to teach you. You are already a writer. All I can say is I hope you'll write the next 3 and maybe more. Can you say something about the experience of what you were thinking about as you wrote that? So can you tell me something about what you were thinking about as you wrote those 2 memories?
I wrote like this from when I was young.
I'm sorry, your mic isn't working.
I don't know, but I wrote like this for a long time.
You've always written like this? Yeah, with that amount of detail. So the details are what make the piece so interesting, right? And I like that the way you're looking at what happens between those 2 clouds. That's an unusual way of looking at the world. When we're writing, we're hoping to look at things with fresh eyes, right? The eyes that a child has when they first encounter the world. And that's exactly what you've done. Thank you so much. Maybe one more, right? Right here.
For I want to tell something. I want to hospitality.
You're going to have to keep the mic close to your mouth, otherwise we won't hear you.
Sir, for anything, I want to tell you from our college firstly.
I still can't, I'm not able to quite understand you.
Sir, before anything, I want to tell you from our college. After that, I have the most memory in my life when I saw the American Army come to Iraq in 2003. That made me very strong to learn English. I can't forget that because in this moment encouraged to me very much to learn a new language. And another memory is very important in my life when I see my grandmother face when she died. I can't forget that.
Now that second memory is very moving. It's very sad. And if you were to write a little bit more about that, maybe you would describe the room in which she died. Did she die at home?
Yes, sir. It's died at home in cancer disease.
Of which?
Cancer disease.
Of cancer. Okay.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you could write, maybe when you leave this lecture, try to describe what you saw in her room when she died.
Yeah.
What was on the walls? What color rugs were there? What was she wearing? Was it a big bed or a small bed? You see what I'm trying to say to you? When you remember the moment, the look on your grandmother's face when she died, that's the kind of memory that we never lose. We have it with us all our lives. And if we try to write about it, it can be a way to deal with that memory, okay? To come to terms with it. So I'm thinking that in another draft of this piece, you might write more about the circumstances in which your grandmother passed away, right? So as writers, we set ourselves writing exercises to get our imagination going, to try to remember things, to try to invent things. I'm going to give you now another quick exercise that you can do with kids that often works really well. Okay? So I want you to write five things. Each sentence is going to begin, I dream, and each sentence has to contain a color, and each sentence has to contain a place. Okay? I dream of the white clouds overlooking the city of Kufa. Would be a very easy way to do that, right? So I want you to give me, if you can, 5 sentences, each of which begins with I wish, and it contains a color, and it contains a place, right? I can't hear you, the question. Yeah, please begin. Yeah. I dream, and put a color in and a place. I'm asking you to write these without thinking very hard about it, right? The first draft of something you write can happen very quickly. Okay, so finish the sentence you're working on.